All righty, let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Mena's Masterclass. I'm Andrew Menzel, and I'm joined today by Maitlan Brown, who's up in quarantine in Brisbane with the Australian squad. Maitlan, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Just trying to keep busy, whether that be playing PlayStation or doing workouts here and there or finding something on Netflix to watch.
Yeah, how's that going? I know you're not allowed to train while you're in quarantine, so you really do have to sort of fill every part of the day.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we've actually been given bowling loads to get done, so I've had to get creative there, and I get my desk chair, I set that up against the wall, and then I get my luggage bag and I put that up against on top of the chair, and then I take all the pillows off my bed and prop them up against the wall, and come in off maybe, I don't know, three steps, and I start run up in the bathroom and then run and roll the arm over into the pillows in the wall. So there is a little bit of training going on, even though we're in a hotel room. But yeah, it's not too bad. I'm really looking forward to getting some fresh air. Fortunately, we can't have any windows open or anything like that. So I'm really looking forward to just getting some fresh air and some sunshine.
Yep. It's pretty strict up in Queensland, and it's so gutsy that everyone's able to sort of do it. But tell me, this selection in the Australian squad for the multi-format series against India must be particularly special, considering, I mean, you had such an awful injury last WBBL. You've been recovering all year. I guess, firstly, was it kind of unexpected to be called up straight into the squad?
Yeah, it was actually, to be honest. I unfortunately tore my hamstring off the bone during Big Bash last year. I only managed to get 4 games of Big Bash in, which sucked because I almost felt like I was almost at the peak of, well, it was the best I'd ever played. Sorry about that. It was the best I'd ever played. I finally got picked in the Aussie squad for the first time in September, so I was sort of still riding that high. And yeah, it all sort of came crashing down when I did the splits out in the middle, trying to get back into my crease, and that ended up putting me out for a good 6 to 9 months until I was fully fit again. But I worked bloody hard, to be honest. Like in the coming back from it, the rehab was really tedious, and some sessions were super boring sometimes. But being out of the game sort of made me realize how much I wanted to get back. So it really fueled my fire. I was living in Canberra at the time, and it's pretty nippy early morning in Canberra. So the early running sessions and gym sessions were pretty tough, just because of the weather. But yeah, I was really determined to get back to where I was. It was super rewarding to get that phone call to say that I'd been selected in the team. And yeah, I'm over the moon with it, to be honest, and I'm really happy to be back in the Aussie squad. And I've had a really good preseason. I've been able to come back from the first day of preseason, which timing worked out really well, I guess, with the injury. Had it been a bit later, might have sort of changed that. But I was able to have a full preseason, and I'm feeling really good. I've PB'd most of my fitness tests, so my fitness is back, and I'm just excited to get out in the nets and bowl against some of the best in the world.
Absolutely. So I heard you on a friend of mine's podcast. Matt Ellis has a podcast, The Cricket Library. We commentate together on the Shield. And, I listened to that to get ready for today. And, you said you cried when you were selected for Australia the first time for New Zealand.
Yeah.
What about this time? Did Flegs call again? And did you tear up?
I think I was just in disbelief, to be honest. He called and I sort of questioned. I was like, "Oh, do you mean like the Aussie A squad or something like that?" And he goes, "No, there's only one team." And I just said, "I was like, well, like I couldn't believe it." And I was so stoked. I was really grateful. It was just a bit of a shock, to be honest. But yeah, I'm super excited and I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really ready. I have no doubt that this season's going to be a ripper.
Yeah, definitely. Now, while I was doing the research I was telling you about, I was on YouTube and I found a couple of clips. Now, I just want to play some sound for you. So this is the first one I found of you doing a little tour around your house.
Oh, okay.
Some reps here just demonstrate the potential in this gym.
So here's you working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't see, fortunately.
Every video I do, I tend to lose my dignity, so I may as well keep going.
So I was like, what's she talking about? This video is not that bad, losing her dignity. She just, showing us around her workout place. But then, I scrolled to the next video on YouTube and this popped up.
Do you have a hidden talent?
I actually do, yeah. Ready for this? Singing with my mouth closed.
Supercalifragilistic expialidocious. Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say out loud enough, your eyes are precocious. Supercalifragilistic expialidocious.
Well, what a talent, singing with your mouth closed. Now, that's a stitch up, surely. Like the renegade media manager's like, I'm gonna get Maitlan to do something really stupid online.
No, I have moments of weakness when it comes to being in front of a camera, and I just give in and be my true self. And you know what? I don't really mind because I'm happy with who that is.
So I know you've got like some real hidden talents, like industrial design. So why did you go for that one?
No, I was still doing I was in the early stages of my degree. I didn't know how that career was so going to turn out. So I thought I'd just, go with the unorthodox singing career instead.
Well, the good thing about the internet, Maitlan, is that's going to live forever. So if you ever have kids or something, they'll be able to, come across that on YouTube in many years to come.
How good.
How good indeed. All right, so let's go back to sort of growing up and where did you grow up?
I grew up in a little small town on the mid-north coast called Wingham.
Yep.
And yeah, I grew up just outside of Wingham on a little bit of a farm. My dad's a farrier, and so we were always surrounded by horses, and it was really cool. I used to go to pony club on a Saturday morning and ride my horse rather than go out and play soccer or footy or something like that. I just go to pony club. That was just my thing. And it was really family. Yeah, mum and dad, and I have a younger brother, and we're all super sporty. We actually would always, golf was our thing. I played golf before I played cricket, and that was the sort of family outing. And my brother was super in love with golf. He actually had a handicap when he was 3 years old, believe it or not.
Wow. And
mum actually took a picture of his very first card and sent it through to our family group chat the other day. So it was really nice to see that. Anyway, he's actually pursuing he's really trying to be a professional golfer, and so all he's doing is playing golf at the moment. So yeah.
So you grew up in the country, close family. What was your dad?
Farrier.
What's that?
Do you want to have a guess?
Well, it's something to do with horses. A horse trainer or a horse breeder.
No, he puts on horseshoes and trims their feet.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Cobbler for horses.
Yeah, cobbler for horses.
And then at what age did you come across cricket and how?
I actually never watched cricket growing up, so I always end up stitching myself up by accident when someone mentions a legend of the game, and I'm like,
Ricky Ponting, who?
No, I know, obviously, but I mean, like, yeah, so that's a little bit embarrassing, but I actually started I just started playing cricket in the backyard at my nan and pop's. That was sort of the only time that I played cricket when I was young, or the only sort of cricket I was sort of exposed to it at a pretty young age. And we actually only played with an axe handle and a tennis ball. And I was speaking about this to Bradman. I didn't even know who Bradman was, like, when I was younger. Obviously until I got older and I was in around cricket a lot more, but until I went to the Bradman Museum when I was like 13.
And you saw this stump in the golf ball.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I was the OG. No.
Maitlan Bradman.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I sort of spoke about this the other day to someone, and they asked like whether there was some sort of reasoning behind it, or like was it just so we could have hand-eye coordination as when we were younger? But it was, for me, it just was so normal because Pop was like, oh, come on, I'll teach you how to play cricket. And he didn't have a bat or anything like that. So he just grabbed this axe handle, and it was tiny. It was probably like for a really little axe because we were pretty small as well. So it was a very short bat. And yeah, we just started playing cricket, and then that just became really normal for us, was just to play cricket in the backyard with this axe handle. But it wasn't until a bit later, a bit later on, where I tried out for the boys cricket team when I was in year 6, at Wingham Brush. Shout out to Wingham Brush. And it was a little bit controversial because it was a boys team, and but I proved them wrong, and the teacher saw some potential in me, and he actually picked me, which was really cool. And yeah, I played my first game of cricket when I was in year 6, and my teacher said, why don't you go try out for the state team or the Hunter team? And then I ended up getting picked in that, and then I ended up getting picked in like the state thing. So I was like already playing at that state sort of PWSA level, and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what O was really, but I just really enjoyed it, and it was really cool to be able to be picked in these squads. And it was the first sort of proper representative cricket I played. And then yeah, from there everything just sort of snowballed. And in high school, I was just tried out for the rep team, and then there was other opportunities there, and I pretty much just kept following opportunities until one day I was playing at the WACA for ACT. But yeah,
what was that like
sort of,
when you turn up at the test ground and you're like,
yeah,
gee, this is a long way from Wingham?
I went on Google first, and I was like, what is WACA? No, I'm kidding. I'm not that bad. No, it was super surreal, because only a few months earlier I was in year 12, and I was sort of in that New South Wales academy. So I did all my underage stuff at New South Wales, and I really, because Wingham's about 4.5 hours away from Sydney, I really struggled to keep studying for like my HSC, as well as traveling to Sydney on the weekends and coming back for school on a Monday, because grade was on Sunday. So Sundays were a long day. We'd wake up at 5 o'clock, drive to Sydney, and then get home at like 10.
And would your parents do that?
Yeah, mum and dad would do that. I'm super grateful for that, because yeah, I definitely owe them a lot of kilometers.
Yeah, sounds like they're very supportive of your cricket.
Yeah, they were really supportive with anything I did. They just said, if you put your heart to something, we'll help and support you, and do everything we can to get you there. So yeah,
so when you call them and say, I've been selected for Australia, that's a pretty special moment for both of you and your parents.
Yeah, it was really nice to share such special news with them. They were super excited, and mum was like, oh, I have to go get dad. And then she sort of ran around the house looking for him. I think he was outside mowing, and then got him, and he was like, what's going on? And he was like still like ringing ears from the mower or something.
He's been picked for Australia?
Yeah. He's like, oh, how good's that? But
so
yeah,
you go to the WACA straight from the HSC, so your head must be hitting.
No, I actually found myself sort of in a bit of limbo for a while. I was just working in a cafe. I got dropped from the academy. I was like, oh, I'll go to Europe and just like have a holiday and stuff, that sort of thing, that gap year style. And and I thought my cricket was sort of like fading. I'd just play it for fun in Sydney at grade, and then just try to play good grade cricket essentially. But I was at the pub one night playing pool in a local pool comp. It was $2 to enter. How good's a country pub?
Yeah.
And I get this phone call, and it's James Allsop, who's the ACT coach. And he calls me, he's like, oh, it's James Allsop here. And I'm like, oh, sorry, let me just go outside. Like, oh, honey, I'm like, who's this? And spoke to him, and he's like, oh, Andrew Reeks, who was a girl who I played cricket with in Sydney, mentioned that you you might like to come down with us and train and be a part of our squad as just sort of a train on development athlete. And I thought, oh, this is so cool. Like, yeah, I'm down for that. So at the time, I didn't really have much money, and I couldn't really move down to Canberra to live and train. So I ended up driving, which was like 7 hours from Wingham. I ended up driving down and staying for a couple of days, and they put me up in a hotel, and then I trained with them. and then I'd come back home and work.
Wow.
And I'd head down. That sort of happened for a few months. And yeah, they must have saw some potential in me at training, and they said, hey, why don't you come to Perth with us? And I was so stoked. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, that was the sort of moment where I was like, oh, okay, like cricket could be a career for me. Like, that's the first time I really took it seriously, when I was still catching up to the moment. Yeah, and then the coach pulled me aside and said, you're playing tomorrow. And it was at the WACA, and it was super surreal and really special. And Ange actually presented me my cap. And yeah, it was just really nice, because she'd sort of seen me play grade cricket since I was like 15 or something. So it was really nice for a close friend of mine to present a cap like that.
Yeah, what a meteoric rise.
Well, I played for the Meteors.
There you go. You said you didn't watch cricket sort of growing up much, but then I'm guessing once you started playing, you took a bit more of interest in.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Australian women?
That was mandatory.
Mandatory.
I did.
And did you sort of, I guess you would have, supported players like Elise Perry and stuff, players you're going to be playing with now, you would have been watching growing up.
Yeah. It's super special to sit back and reflect and know that the girls who I looked up to growing up, Elise Perry and Alyssa Healy in particular, to be able to play alongside them now and to call them a good mate is really special. And and really, it's really nice, actually.
I mean, it's
pretty
a
cool
difference, because say when I interview someone like Lisa Stalaker and she talks about growing up, that there was no visible women's cricket, and there was no one really to look up to in the same way you had, whereas you're sort of early on, but part of this generation that's growing up with the Big Bash, growing up most of the time with the WBBL, so you've sort of seen the game a little bit more. It's just a different experience.
I don't think there was a whole lot going around I wasn't exposed to a whole lot going around in my early sort of cricketing career when I was in like sort of early high school or whatever, but definitely towards the back end when women's cricket started gaining a bit more exposure. I went to a game at Hurstville Oval, which was really cool. And I still didn't know many of the players until a little bit later on when I was sort of like properly in that underage sort of New South Wales development squad. But yeah, it's amazing to see how the game's evolved so much. And back home, I think they even have a women's team going around, which is super special, because it's something I probably would have never thought would happen.
Yeah, I commentated on the regional women's Big Bash last summer, so they definitely do.
Yeah.
They have a regional competition at T3, which is great, and then some of those players come down and play in grade cricket as well.
There's just so many opportunities now for young girls out there who want to play cricket, which is really special and something I never really had growing up, because I always played boys cricket or men's grade. But that was also really fun and something different. And I really loved that. But yeah, there's just so many opportunities and options out there now, which is really awesome to see.
Yeah, definitely. So you moved to ACT, but now you've made the move. You've come back to New South Wales. So you've left ACT and you've left the Renegades. What was the sort of
double whammy?
Yeah, double whammy. Two breakup phone calls you had to make probably. How did that go?
Well, I think so. I've been in ACT. I think I lived there for 4 years. And I also studied whilst I was there, which was industrial design. And that was sort of coming to an end, and I'd been at ACT for a while, and I really enjoyed it there. It was awesome. The team was great, and it was a really nice environment. But I just felt like it was time for me to sort of move on and have a bit of a change. And my boyfriend's he studied law, and he finished law down there, and he was actually planning to move back to Sydney. And that was something for me to consider, because obviously I didn't really want to do long distance, and the timing just sort of worked out really well. The fact that I finished my degree, he did his. I want to sort of be a bit closer to home. Not that I've been able to go home since the lockdown sort of happened, but hopefully. but yeah, it's been a really, really nice change, and I'm loving Sydney. The Breakers have welcomed me with big arms, and yeah, the facilities there and the coaching staff and resources is unbelievably professional. I'm really, really enjoying it there. Like, I'm super, super glad that I made the move.
Yeah, both
Yeah,
organisations, the Breakers and the Sixers. I mean, there must be a strong lure. They both run so well.
yeah,
The opportunities in both teams, you know, for professional settings and stuff. And that's no slight on the Renegades or the Meteors, but
mm,
the Breakers have been leading the way in women's cricket for a number of years. So I guess being a part of that squad would be very enticing.
yeah, definitely. It's a pretty big difference. The professionalism is just next level at New South Wales and the Breakers. And yeah, the Sixers move sort of was really tricky as well. I had a few sleepless nights where I wasn't sure what I was going to do, because I was so strongly linked to the Renegade, and I really enjoyed the team, and I loved my teammates, and I have so many super special memories that I'm gonna keep with me for the rest of my life. And yeah, that was a really difficult one to make. I made a few phone calls to help me. It took a while to actually make the decision, but yeah, once I did and realized the main reason was that I really wanted to work with Ben Sawyer more consistently, and he was a coach of the Sixers, and he was also at the Breakers. So I really wanted to have that consistency throughout the season, because I was really determined to sort of get back to where I was last year after the injury. So I knew that would be really important, and getting back working with such a brilliant coach. So that was a big lure for me, Benny Sawyer.
Yeah, he's great.
So yeah, he's so good. He has really, really improved my game working with him.
So who do you turn to when you have a tough decision like that? Is it your partner? Is it your parents? Is it other cricketers? Who would you reach out to for advice?
Mainly my partner, actually. He seems pretty level-headed. He was a little bit biased towards the Sixers. He was like, that's such a good team. Like, that's a really great, there's Elise Perry, Aaron Burns, Alyssa Healy, Ash Gardner, a few big dogs, just to name a few.
Yeah, he can look
so
over.
I was pretty biased in that decision, but yeah, he can actually. And my manager as well. And yeah, I spoke to Elise as well, just so I could get an understanding of how she would see me sort of fit into that squad, whether there'd be a role for me there, because I also knew that I had the opportunity. I had a lot of opportunity at the Renegades if I were to stay there, so that was another thing that was really tricky to sort of weigh up. But I'm really looking forward to joining the Sixers, and I hope that I can really create a bit of an impact with the ball, and hopefully bat.
With Cap not coming back to the Sixers next summer, that sort of opens up a spot for you.
Yeah, definitely. When I found out that Cappy wouldn't be a part of the squad, I knew that was a role that I would really like to take.
Yeah, so let's look at your experience in the Aussie team last year for in the series against New Zealand. I know you didn't play a game yet, so you're not capped, but I'm sure you'll get a cap, hopefully this series against India. But what was, just that sort of feeling being in the Aussie squad, the sort of, the high performance element, and just rubbing shoulders with Lanning and, the great players. How was that?
It was really cool, actually. Before I went into the tour, I sort of wrote down a little thing in my journal, and that was just sort of like embrace, and pretty much like, for me, that meant just whatever happens, like embrace it to the fullest. So whether that was a social event, I wanted to hang around as much as I could and sort of, be really immersed in that. And I just would leave my phone. So I wasn't on my phone, like I was very present in the moment. Or when we actually ended up winning the series, I tried to get my hands on the trophy as much as I could and really soak it up and talk to the girls and just try to really be a part of it, rather than letting my nerves get the better of me and sit back in the corner of the change room and watch from afar in a way. Like, I wanted to really make sure I was in in and amongst the team, and I wanted to feel a part of the team. So I hope I wasn't too annoying, but there we go.
What a terrific attitude, though, because it's quite a wise attitude, because so often a high performance athlete, they get that opportunity and they're so focused on performing and training hard, which you obviously were as well, but just soaking up everything like that. That's a very mature approach. And I guess it sounds like you had a great time.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. I loved it so much. And also the training aspect. So I managed to ask Midge to throw me Midge being Alyssa Healy, to throw me a few balls and give me a bit of a masterclass, and that was super special. I'm really grateful that she gave me a few tips, and and even at training, just making sure that I was making the most of the coaches around me and questioning the coach, like, because I really wanted to play and get the cap, and I was like, all right, what can I do? Like, what do you got for me? Like, what's the job description? And I just tried to soak up as much as I could and get as much info, and then go from there. And obviously, I didn't get the cap, but to be honest, it was still a really special tour and something I'll remember for a very long time. And if I end up getting the cap on this tour, it'd be even more special. But yeah, to be honest, I'm just really happy to be a part of the squad, because it's a really tough squad to crack. And I'm just gonna once again embrace it and do as much as I can to be ready to play and make the most of it.
Well, you got called up again, which is awesome. I did hear on Matt Ellis's cricket library that your Aussie kit was stolen from your car. Have you got the glass out? Have you got the glass out of your Aussie kit?
I brought the floppy.
So those of you who haven't heard the story, I think your car was broken into. Someone takes your Aussie kit, and then sometime later, it mysteriously,
like 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks later, this kit rocks up, because I moved the car, because I'm like, right, it was in this underground, meant to be secure car park, underground car park, and I said, stuff this, like, I'm not leaving my car here, like, this is dodgy, I want more eyes on it. So I left it in a parking lot where everyone can sort of see. And we went downstairs, because my housemate was parking down there still, and she goes, hey, your kit's rocked up again. And this was 2 weeks after it had been stolen, and I've got the window repaired and whatnot. And I just sort of forgot about it for a little bit. I just really wanted my my yellow floppy that I had in there. It was like really special to me. And it's not it was just from a few Aussie A tours.
Yeah, but still.
And it had like orange dirt on it from when we were in India. And and I just really wanted that. So I was stoked that I got that back. But yeah, when I was preparing for the Aussie tour back in September, I'd forgotten to sort of give my kit a good clean out. And as I was packing it, there was glass everywhere from my car. So I had to get the vacuum, go and suck up all the glass. And I made sure I brought my yellow floppy this time. And I always wonder whether the person who stole the kit, like, what they did with it. Like, did they put the hat on? Did they put the pads on? Like, what? Or did they just have it sitting in their room and they felt very guilty, so they returned it? I want to know.
I'm going to say it's a combination of guilt and the realization that it was easily identifiable. If this turned up, if someone saw that, they'd know. They could eyeball them.
See, I would have thought they would have just dumped it in Lake Burley Griffin or something.
Maybe they're a massive cricket fan, unlike you.
Maybe
they're big cricket.
Maybe they're just a young kid, and their mum comes in and goes, "What is this?" and then starts yelling at me, "You have to return that, right?"
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who
knows?
So you've got it back, which is good for this series.
I do.
No glass.
It's chockers.
I
had to pack 3 pads this time. 3 sets of pads.
What could
one set in a cricket kit? Oh, we've got the
white?
Black ones for the T20, white for the test, and then yellow ODI.
Awesome.
So my kit is like bursting at the seams.
Yeah. You've got 2 weeks in quarantine to organise it. So luckily for you, Megan Shute and her partner have just had a beautiful child, and she won't be playing in this.
Yeah.
So it does open up a spot. You bowl similar to Megan.
Just the other way.
Yeah, but with the way you move the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's moves at a bloody mile.
You do big off cutters, yeah? And do you do the leg cutter?
No, I think she's she bowls it in and has that leg cutter. I've got, and she has a few tricks, I guess. She has the back of the hand sort of.
Yeah. And what do you specialize in?
Outswing
Outswing.
and then that sort of death bowling, like Yorkers and cutters and back of the hand sort of magic.
I heard you saying to Matt, you've got some sort of side ball for the back overs where you can sort of hit the side of the ball and take pace off it.
Yeah, I was I haven't, it's sort of still in the works, but it was more for like when I went and played in India, I tried to play around with a few different balls and I found a way where I could hold it and sort of bowl it where I can like skim it off the bottom, and it worked really effectively on the subcontinent wicket, and it would just sort of like pretty much skid and roll along the ground. But unfortunately we have got really nice pitches here in Australia, and they have a bit of bounce, so I'll just be trying to hit that seam as much as I can and work with the seam.
Nice. So with Megan not available, that means it does open up a spot. But Matthew Mott was saying sort of before this quarantine period that he is worried about you and Stella Campbell and the other fast bowlers, Taylor Vlamick, getting sort of prepared for bowling a lot. Are you concerned at all about sort of how your body's going to cope?
It would definitely be interesting because obviously we've been in here for 2 weeks. But I'm really back in the Triple SM team, the physio and the S&C and Benny to ramp us up slowly so we can manage the whole tour. But I guess that's the reason why there's so many fast bowlers on tour, is that we're unsure of how it's all going to sort of play out, and everyone's a bit of a backup, ready to go at any stage. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how we sort of cope coming out of it. I'm sure we're not going to be flogged day dot come out of here. So but we've got loads come, like we had a lot of loads coming into it, so it's not like we haven't been doing anything for the last 3 months.
Yeah, Matty Mott said he's thinking of rotating the bowlers, so fingers crossed.
That looks good for me for the cap.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm on the Maitlan Brown bandwagon now. All right, so big series against India. Really, everyone's really pumped for it, even though it's sort of unfortunately not going to be played any of it in Sydney or Melbourne. But
I know it sucks.
Yeah, such a crazy situation. Speaking of crazy situations, I want to talk about the WBBL hub last year.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole BBL, for those listening, was played in a hard hub in Sydney last year. I loved it because I live in Sydney, so I got to go to the games and watch the games. So it would have
been great for Sydney residents.
Yeah, it was a win for us. That semi-final where the Thunder beat the Heat was one of the more memorable nights I've been to in a while. But what was that hub like?
For me, I loved it. I'm a very social gal, and I really like hanging out with all my friends, and everyone was very easy to access, so that was good. And I got given a really cool little corner room because my partner was going to come in, so they needed we just needed a bit of space because there'd be 2 of us in the room, and I ended up getting a few lounges and brought into my room, and it almost turned into our team room. So it was really nice to be able to sort of spend so much time with all my mates, and we were in there for a while, and a lot of the girls were away from their family for I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks. So we had to sort of rely on each other to make sure we're okay and keeping each other sane, I guess, in a way. So it was really important to have that social aspect. So my room was called the Flamingo Lounge because in a rain break, or rain delay, I should say, through one of our games, we got given these wraps at lunch, and I had heaps of foil. Anyway, I turned this foil from the wrap into a flamingo sculpture. So it was awesome. This was like the best flamingo ever.
Well, you're a designer. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So we had this flamingo foil that sat like on the TV unit, so it was like the Flamingo Lounge, and we just watched the State of Origin together, or we were really obsessed with watching SAS, so we just watched that together, and or if someone was bored and they just wanted to just watch a couple of games, like they just come in and chill with me. So that was nice. And actually it was really cool. Like we had like a couple of buffets where you just you unfortunately you couldn't go and grab what you wanted. You had to give it to someone and they had to sort of serve it out. So sometimes you'd accidentally get a whole plate full of rice, whereas you just wanted a little bit or something, and you just had to deal with it. And
Was it intense though?
yeah, it was pretty intense. I think my experience was pretty positive compared to some others. A place like that for someone might have been their worst nightmare. So yeah, I don't think they'll end up doing it again because yeah, I think it was really tough for a few people.
Yeah, I think your new
and really
team,
intense.
the Sixers, I think as a team didn't probably cope with it that well.
Yeah. Well, each team and each person sort of experience it different, but yeah, for me it was really positive, and they probably won't do it again, but
Yeah,
who knows?
What are you hearing about the WBBL? Because it's supposed to start in Sydney. I've read reports,
not much.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I guess from what you're saying as well, and what I think won't do a hard hub anywhere before. But we could see the tournament just played in a couple of states.
Yeah, hopefully it will be similar to what the men did last year, whereas they sort of had their own little hubs and traveled around different states. Obviously, everything's up to the government, really.
Anyone's can get into.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's up to the government. I think everyone has been sort of given a bit of notice and a heads up to say, well, New South Wales and ACT, I think, and probably Victoria, have to wrap their heads around potentially doing a 2-week hard quarantine. But we actually have an information session in like 2 nights' time. So I don't really know much until I jump on board that. So sorry, I don't have any hot goss for you.
We'll
but
catch up in a few days for an update. But yeah, that makes sense. If you're coming from New South Wales, you're gonna have to quarantine somewhere. I love the standalone WBBL. I think it's great that it's separated from the men's competition and gets complete clear air, and I think it's a good time as well leading into the summer. I mean, obviously it was COVID last year and still is. So, any live sport you're just loving. But I loved, not having to choose, do I watch the men's or the women's? It's just the WBBL's on. The Weber WBBL on. Have you got the barbecue yet?
How cool is that?
No,
but I actually have 2 Webers at home.
Well,
I've got 2 babies.
Sponsor's dream.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an advocate, so I'll be in their ear looking for an upgrade.
Yeah, you need a deluxe Weber.
Who knows? Yeah. We actually only have we got the babies because we lived in a little apartment, and also the other one was for camping. So if we'd have a bit of downtime in between drinks breaks, we'd go to the coast somewhere or take the ute and take the Weber and go camping and have a barbie wherever we wanted.
Yeah, well, if you're moving back to Sydney, property prices, I think you'll need another small Weber.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be buying in Sydney anytime soon.
Yeah, but as a player, let me just plug my computer in. As a player, is the standalone WBBL, a positive thing?
Yeah, I think so. It was really quite interesting recently seeing how the 100 was sort of played out, and how that tournament was really, there was so much synergy between the men's and the women's team, and it almost seems like one big tournament, because it was just called the 100. So I thought that was a really great idea, and it's really nice to see the men support the women in that sense. I do miss the fact that we can't go and play a double header at the MCG or the SCG, and by the end of our game we've got a really big crowd. So I do really miss that aspect, but at the same time, it just goes to show that we can women's cricket in Australia in particular can really sort of hold its own and have its own tournament and that still be really successful. So it's really special to be a part of something like that, and it's really easy to access the players. Like, all the girls love the crowd and love it when the kids come up to we love it when the kids come up to us at the fence and go, oh, can you sign my hat or something like that. And I think I guess, like, in their shoes when I was a lot younger, how special it was for a player to take the time and talk to me. So it's really nice to see the girls sort of give back in that sense and take time. And yeah, and I really like that aspect of WBBL because it seems very community and family orientated, and but it's still also a really great competition. Like the skills aspect is through the roof, and it's really entertaining at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the WBBL, and it's interesting what you say about the 100, the way they did it. I mean, that obviously they used to do the big bash like that with a lot of the WBBL curtain raisers, and I enjoyed that as well at the SCG, where you had a WBBL derby heading into the night game. You get a big crowd, but I do see there's a real benefit to being standalone. What about sort of standard wise? As a viewer, I've noticed, every year the competition standard improves quite dramatically. Like, and if you look at things like fielding,
a lot of runs scored last year.
Yeah, a lot of, and like the lower order batting's got a lot better. It used to be, and this is sort of just, once you get past the top 6, it can be a bit thin down the order. But it seems to have gone, and the fielding has just gone to the next level. I mean, the first WBBL, there was quite a few drop catches. Now, the fielding's exceptional. I mean, as a player, you obviously have to keep up with that. You always have to be developing.
Yeah, I think everyone's sort of evolving at the same time almost, and as we sort of gain more resources and and Cricket Australia invests a bit more money into the game, we're able to train more and channel our time, focus our time into cricket rather than sort of a part-time job here and there. And so it's awesome to see the game sort of evolve, and it's really cool to to be in those close games, even though it's a bit nerve-wracking at times, but at the end of the day, it's almost about entertainment, I guess, for the viewers at home. And so when a game's close, or when something really special happens, whether someone on your team smashes a 50 off, I don't know, 20 something balls or something like that, it just it's awesome to see that sort of happen. And I think the game's only gonna continue to get better, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, any sort of particular on-field memories from the Renegades you'll take with you? I know there was that heartbreaking loss a couple of years ago at Drummoyne Oval.
We will never escape that.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, any other on-field memories of performance that you'll sort of cherish with the Renegades?
Yeah, I guess we've been a part of a few super overs, and it's really nice because the team song is like one of our last lines in the team song is like, "We'll never stop until the final ball is bowled," and it's just like, it's very fun to be a part of something like that. And it's just nice to know that there's always a fighting spirit in there's always a fighting spirit in the Renegades. But I think getting into our very first finals was super special, and unfortunately we lost that game only just. Once again, we'll never stop until the final ball is bowled.
I know. When Rita Healy, now your teammate threw the stumps down.
Yeah. Thank God I don't have to bowl at her anymore. I swear she purposely targets me and crushes my soul. No.
Well, she can do that in the nets now. Well, she might be your skipper at the Breakers. I don't know if that's been announced, has it?
I think so.
It was last year.
Probably.
I'm sacking you now.
I'm assuming. I'm sacked too. No, okay.
So
it's really cool.
Yeah, and then they've got a new final system for the WBBL this summer.
Yeah, I saw that.
So the first
Insta.
Yeah, the first gets to host the final, and then 2 to 4 playoff for the right to play the first in the final. And I think they're doing it for a couple of reasons. One is to reward the first place team, to make that a significant advantage, which I think is good. And the other one is to try and boost ticket sales, because if you have a longer lead into a home final, then you can promote it more. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great. I reckon they should put that into WNCL, because WNCL is a bit of a stitch up. We play a few games, we don't even have finals.
No.
So anyway, rant over. No, I'm kidding.
No, good. I commentate on some of the WNCL, so I love it.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. I think it definitely makes, it gives you a bit of a boost going into finals, and I think it'll make a few teams more hungry and potentially fight a little bit harder. So I think the games will be pretty close. But I'm really looking forward to, being a part of a new sort of final system, and it'd be great if we had a few ticket sales and have a decent crowd at the game. So yeah, I'd like that, especially because we haven't been able to play in front of crowds.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be
because of Rona and whatnot.
no, it's all sick of that. So,
Yeah.
So, big, you 24 years old, is that right? So,
Correct.
hitting the peak of your powers now, sort of,
I'm getting there. Come on, let's not call it early.
I'm not saying you haven't hit like the peak, but you're getting into that sort of golden run for a bowler where your body's developed, your strength and conditioning would have come on. Hopefully you're not going to rip your hamstring off your tendon this summer.
It's tight. There's wires in there to keep it up.
Oh, good. You and Elise Perry can compare hamstring injuries.
We did. We actually messaged before the tour, and I said, all right, well, come on, let's compare scars when we get there. So that's yet to happen because we're in quarantine, but we'll see who's gnarlier.
Who's got the biggest scar? But I guess, you're sort of excited about, I know athletes don't like to get too far ahead of themselves, but do you sort of, you were so mature in your approach to the Kiwi squad last year. Do you have that? Do you have a word in mind for how you're going to approach this summer?
Yeah, I think process probably, I would say.
You're a great subject. You've always got an answer.
Yeah, I would say that because, like for me in the past when I've been so consumed by thinking about a single, like, I want the cap, my game sort of deteriorated slightly because I was so clouded and I put so much pressure on myself, and then I really struggled with my performance because I just felt so much pressure, but it wasn't actual pressure, it was just stuff that I was completely putting on myself. And so I think going into this one, knowing I've got that injury or coming off the back of the injury, I think it's really important for me to just sort of break it down into the process coming back, like making sure that I'm ramping up slowly, I'm doing my rehab, I'm making sure I'm getting treatment, all the little things that again obviously contribute to the end goal. So I think technically I would say that process.
Excellent process. And interesting.
That's a very on-field specific one.
No, but I was sort of thinking about you.
Off-field, I'm still embrace.
He's still embrace, still having
fun. Overarching.
Overarching embrace process on the field. I like that. There's something in golf. I don't know. You said you played golf. There's something similar in that mentality that you can borrow from golf. In golf, if you're approaching a green and you're thinking, I want to get within 1 foot of the pin, I want to get 1 foot in the pin, you end up shanking it and hitting it. Whereas if you just do a nice swing,
there's no pin on the green and you just hit it, you'll get on the green.
Exactly. So I can see where that process can be so important, not getting too ahead of yourself. Well, you finished your industrial design degree. Congratulations. That's so good to have something.
I think I was meant to have graduation whilst I'm up here, but it's been cancelled, so I'll be celebrating myself.
Yeah, look, everybody's doing Zoom graduations, no doubt, around the country. Well, but that must have been, away from cricket, just to achieve something and then have something to fall back on, or when you retire to be able to sort of put your mind to something else.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was highlighted how important it is to have other interests outside of cricket. When I was injured most recently, when I was on my crutches and I wasn't physically able to go out and ride the bike or train or go for a trail run, all the fun things that I liked doing physically, it was obviously ripped away from me for a short period of time whilst I was on these crutches. So at the time, I was able to really focus my energy into my degree and work on a few projects. I created a large-scale 3D printed lounge at uni, and that was really special and something that I probably would not have been able to get done had I still been fully fit and having to train and squeeze all that in. So because I had to watch this thing, it took me 2 weeks to finally print it because it's attached to this robot, and the robot was just a pain in the butt. And then when it was actually printing, I had to watch this thing and make sure I was feeding material into it to melt it down and print with it for 2 8-hour days straight. Like I couldn't go on my phone or anything because I was like, had to make sure this thing was working. So yeah, it was a nice distraction, and I'm really grateful that I had that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. You could think about designing cricket equipment or something down the track.
Yeah, I actually got asked that recently, but
Goodbye.
yeah. It was just on Instagram. Someone just messaged me, and I hadn't really considered it, but who knows if I come across I really want to make one, like what are they called? You know, the bolts where like, oh gosh, the name is I can't think of what it's called, but
Describe.
You put it over, like say you're undoing a bolt and you put it over and it goes
a wrench,
and it like a bloody wrench, a wrench, but to put your spikes on. That would be elite, because putting your spikes on is so annoying.
I'm pretty sure they have that.
Oh, well, I need to get my hands on one of those.
Yep. I think you can
That's my next job.
Women's cricket equipment. That can be your post-cricket career.
Yeah.
What about have you ever been to a men's test match in person?
When I was in year 6, but that was when I was I didn't really know much about cricket, so I think I had Peter Siddle and someone else sign my bat, and I didn't know. I actually still have the bat.
And was that at the SCG, your first test match?
Yeah, it was it was pink stumps, so there was we chucked on some pink gear and
so McGrath Day. It must have been McGrath Day.
Yeah, McGrath Day.
12 years ago, maybe. If you're 24, around then.
Yeah, I think they were playing Pakistan.
Oh yeah. Do you remember walking into the SCG for the first time and looking around?
Very vaguely. We actually, because it was when I got picked in the state squad, so we actually got to go on the field.
Oh wow.
But I didn't realize how significant it was. It was just sort of thing that happened, and they're like, oh, okay, like, yeah, go on out there. I'm like, oh man, this is pretty good. Like, but obviously, yeah, it was a pretty big deal, and it was I wish I remembered more of it.
Yeah. And do you watch cricket now? Do you, if you know,
yeah,
men's cricket or women's cricket, do you watch both?
Yeah, definitely. Whenever cricket's on, it's like the best thing to just have, in the house all day, especially a test match. I won't religiously sit down and watch a whole test match, but it will definitely be on, and I'll be doing something that I'll come back and sit down and like, oh, I've been here for like an hour, I have to go do this. And and Big Bash is also awesome because it's pretty much on every single night, I swear. So yeah, it's great to have cricket on. I do really enjoy watching it now.
Does your partner like cricket?
Yeah, he's a big cricket nuffy actually. He used to play Sydney grade cricket. And yeah, he's the one who's always stitching me up saying, you need to know who this guy is, like, like he looks so silly. I'm like, oh gosh, like let me Google.
That's fine.
But yeah, he's really good. He throws me a few balls in the nets, which is really good, and he's a really good batter, so he can hit it a bloody mile. So he's handy to have close.
Well, so you can go to the nets together, a bit like Steve Smith and his wife, where he makes her balls in the bowling machine to him.
Yeah. He'll throw balls at me all day, I reckon.
Oh, good. Well, you found a good one there, lawyer and can throw balls. So tick. Maitlan, thanks so much for coming on Mena's Masterclass. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. You're such a vibrant, personality, and I think you've got such a exciting few years ahead. I can't wait to watch it, and really pleased to have been able to chat. Have you got anything lined up in Netflix you want to watch? Any shows? Any of the? What are you going to watch? What's your plan?
I've actually been obsessed with Gordon Ramsay's. I think it's Uncharted. It's on Disney Plus, and he pretty much, because I love cooking. I love like the garden, sort of outdoorsy, foraging sort of stuff. And
I am.
Oh, really? Awesome. I've been watching, and he pretty much like goes around to different countries and meets some locals and forages for local ingredients, and then does a big cook-off. And I really like it. It's awesome. That's all I've been watching. That's the only thing I've been watching, actually. That, ABC News and Landline.
Okay, well, ABC News is depressing at the moment. You,
Yeah,
have
it
you seen
is.
Amazon's The Test?
A bit of it, yeah. I actually don't have an Amazon account. I managed to sneak a friend of a friend's account and
I think
watched a
that-
couple of
I
episodes.
think now you've got those lucrative breakers contracts you need to sign up.
Yeah, I should.
That's a good insight. Well, thank you so much. Go and enjoy some Gordon Ramsay psychopath chef stories. And best of luck for
No.
this series against India. Fingers crossed you get the cap, and can't wait to
Thanks.
see you playing for the Sixers in the WBBL. And thanks again for your time.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you.